This man was catching some of the best that the Big 12 had to offer. BYU, Texas Tech. That was a great matchup. Also, not great matchup. Seahawks, Cardinals. What the NFC West has to offer, I think the best they have to offer is coming up this week between the Rams and Seattle. But, Baldy, just your initial thoughts on that drubbing the Cardinals received last Sunday.
I mean, look, I have not seen any game so far this year through 10 weeks where it was 28-0, 35-0. And there was we weren't even halfway through the second quarter. I haven't seen anything like that. And so, you fight, you score a couple touchdowns, and all that stuff. You take the ball away, you get a couple short fields, but it's never a game. It's over. And so it's a shock. It's a shock. But I mean, when Tyrese Knight come with two blitzes right up the middle and Tank Lawrence picks them both up off a hop and walks in the end zone. I mean, it just compounds the issues with covering Jackson Smith and Jigba or Cooper Kupp or, not being able to sustain any offense to stop that from happening. It was just a complete meltdown on all phases.
Baldy, we've talked about it ad nauseum this week about who's to blame, what's the root cause of this. Let's start with the offensive line. You talk about one of the more disappointing units in the NFL. This was their calling card the last 2 years. It's the same set of players. I would argue they have better depth than they've ever had at this position up front, and yet they look completely out of sorts. I mean, Mike McDonald had them, their mind in a pretzel all day Sunday. Is this players? Is this coaching? Because I look at this and it's like, these are the players you wanted to roll with into the season. We're, 10-plus games into this now. This is the product as a result.
Yeah, they're not good enough. They're not good enough right now. I mean, what Seattle did, but Seattle defensive front is for real. I mean, those guys, Leonard Williams has never played better than this. Byron Murphy has developed, Tank Lawrence. I mean, they're Nwosu. You go through the list, Jerron Reed. Like, those guys play like that every week. I mean, nobody runs the ball against them. And so, but they're, they have pass rush. They got to the Brissett. I mean, it's just a basic middle linebacker blitz. I mean, it's just back on back. I mean, just not to be able to pick it up and to see the quarterback just, struggle like he did, just holding on to the ball. I mean, I've seen Tom Brady go through a whole season and not lose one fumble. Like, that's the quarterback's job. So it does start up front, but still. But that's just an ass whipping, what Seattle did to him.
Yeah, in all three phases, there wasn't one phase that could kind of hold their head up high coming out of that game, or just coming out of the first quarter for that matter. Talking about the quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, the three strong performances previous to that, and then the 2 turnover plays. Still statistically, cosmetically look good. What'd you see from Jacoby in his 4th start for the Cardinals?
Well, I mean, it was not good between him and Marvin Harrison. I don't know how many incompletions there were with the ball going to Marvin. There might have been 10. I haven't seen that type of inability to get the ball to a receiver. Like, that's not good. But the ball security was the story. Just to give him 2 touchdowns like that, like, nobody wants that on the resume. And so, I mean, that's where it starts, ball security. And then, all right, Marvin had a good game the week before against Dallas, and he was the combination of the two was awful on Sunday.
Baldy, look at the defensive side. I've made the argument this week, like, Mike McDonald is what the Cardinals defense wants to be, what they've said they've tried to be, and it's the complete opposite. Seattle's actually been pretty marginal rushing the football this year, but in 2 games against the Cardinals, they've rushed for almost 400 yards. Like, what do you think the status is with this defense right now? That just at one point in this game, Seattle ran the ball 12 straight times.
I saw that, and honestly, they made Anthony Bradford, look like he was Steve Hutchinson. Like, he looked like he was an all-pro. Graves Abel. I mean, they just caved their offensive line in play after play, not every play, but a great deal of it. And when they got the lead like that, why put the ball in the air? Especially after Sam, made some mistakes, just pound it. And that's what they did, the tight ends included. But, I mean, every one of those guys in Seattle, and they have had problems with their offensive line. But Graves Abel was a great pick, and he's looking like an all-pro, or at least a Pro Bowl player right now. The right guard, that's the best I think I've ever seen him play. But they lost their starting center. Olu went in there as a backup, and he did the same thing to him. Like, they just caved their line in. It didn't matter if it was Walter Nolan or Calais or, it didn't matter who was up there. Like, they did not hold up at the point of attack.
Is it strange to see this type of roller coaster performances? Monday Night Football against Dallas, at least on the defensive front side of things, they look as disruptive as they have all season long. And then, I know it's only 13 dropbacks, and Johnny's talking about the rush defense, which is non-existent. Like, what was the stark difference between the defensive trenches on Monday night and Sunday, and where do you go from there? Is it technique? Is it physicality? Is it a combination of both?
Combination of both, but I mean, Seattle's a much better roster than Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas isn't going to make the playoffs. Seattle won 10 games last year, and they're a better team this year. So I believe that it's a lot of it is the level of competition. And honestly, I'm friends with Leonard Williams. He lives down the road from me here. I see him. He's playing the best football he's ever played these last 2 years in Seattle. They don't have anybody like that in Dallas. Nobody. And so, if you look at Byron Murphy, who was a first-round pick, and Jerron Reed has won Super Bowls, and Tank Lawrence has been a Pro Bowl. I mean, they got everybody playing at a premium level right now. And so they play matchup zone behind it. It's hard to, it makes the quarterback hold the ball because you're not really sure what you're looking at with the Mike McDonald defense until the ball snapped. And, this is what he did in Baltimore when they were the number one defense in football. And they led the league in both sacks and in takeaways just 2 years ago. And now it took a half year last year to kind of learn it and understand it, but now they're executing it and in his vision of it with the players to do it.
Baldy, one of the most difficult things for us to decipher is to be able to put a label on this season. They've had a lot of injuries. I don't want to dismiss that. Kyler's been out. Now Marv's out. But, you look at San Francisco, they're winning with Mac Jones and, minimal defensive starters available for Robert Saleh. This is a pretty blunt question, but do you feel like Jonathan Gannon and his staff are overmatched in the NFC West?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we're talking about, Kyle Shanahan has had teams to the Super Bowl. Sean McVay has won a Super Bowl. Nobody has put out more head coaches in this league than Sean McVay. They rebuilt their entire defensive line. I mean, it's a whole operation. Leslie, Sean McVay, like their vision and how they have drafted, fortified, added free agents, Nate Lamb in at middle linebacker, whatever. Like, they haven't made many mistakes. They got rid of a guy that went to a Super Bowl in Jared Goff. They weren't happy. He was the first pick in the draft. They're like, we can do better. So it's really the standard. Like, not many teams would have unloaded Jared Goff after you've been to a Super Bowl with him. But they're like, we have to play better at that position, And so Matt Stafford has. He could easily be the MVP of this league. But, they went and signed Devontae Adams. He's been on 3 teams in the last 2 years. And he leads the league in touchdown catches right now. They drafted Puka in the 5th round. Nobody can guard him. They play 4 tight ends. And all of them have scored touchdowns. Like, nobody plays 4 tight ends in this league. But that's the direction that they want to go to protect Stafford and to get the running game going. Like, they have a different vision. And so is the coaching the same? It isn't. And that's not a knock on Jonathan Gannon. He's gotten his opportunity. It's not a knock on Monty. But 2 teams have rebuilt their teams in a short period of time that are much better than what Arizona is.
So what's the path forward potentially for somebody like Gannon? I mean, is it he has to make some drastic changes potentially to his staff? Is it just it is who he is, and the Cardinals need to make a tough decision? I mean, what's the path forward in the next 8 games for the Cardinals?
Well, I mean, they got to decide what their quarterback situation is going to be because, New England has turned things around in identifying Drake May as their franchise. I just saw him play. He doesn't make many mistakes. He's a franchise quarterback, and all they did was what you're supposed to do. They fortified everything around him, whether it's Stephon Diggs or draft picks on the offense line, whatever. Coaching, Josh McDaniels has won a lot of Super Bowls as an offense coordinator. But you've got to look real closely at what you have. And is it a mirage? Are you happy winning 8 games and being competitive? Or are you going for it? Because Seattle had Pete Carroll. They had Geno Smith. They won a lot of games. But they're like, John Schneider was like, we got to do better. We need improvement. And maybe Mike McDonald is the guy. Maybe, we'll find out. But they feel like for sure Sam Darnold's an upgrade on Geno Smith. And Geno won 10 games as a starter, or most of those games he did. So Like, it's about what are you content with? What are you unsatisfied by? And what can you do to improve position by position? It's not just the quarterback position. They've looked at the left guard was a first round pick, at guard. Not many teams are willing to do that, but he's made a big difference. So they blew out their starting linebackers last year. They didn't like them. They didn't like the way they played. They like these kids they have in there right now. So I don't know, like they picked up Tank, would Tank Lawrence look a lot better in a Cowboy uniform with their pass rush? Yeah, compared to how he's playing right now. So they have identified weaknesses and addressed it.
We assume that Gannon and stays, and then the defense needs to perform, right? That's an easy check that you're like, okay, you have to be able to hang your hat on this. And I would assume Nick Rallis would stay as well. Would you trust Drew Petzing and the offensive infrastructure to support a rookie quarterback next year?
They might have no choice. It might be what they have to do. The record might put them in a position where there's an elite player there. They can't turn it down. Like, I think they've seen enough of Kyler. I'm not running him out of the gym, but I think they've seen enough of him and what he can be. I think they would be lying through their teeth if they thought Kyler could go win a Super Bowl. I mean, it'd be a silly notion. And not everybody is. Very few are, as a matter of fact. But you have to identify everything: the leadership, the command, the work ethic, the production. There's a lot that goes into that position. And you got to get that right if you're going to be competitive.
49ers licking their wounds after a bad performance against the Rams, but they're doing it at 6-4. Cardinals now at 3-6 on the season. They come to State Farm Stadium, as we mentioned. No Marv, no Kyler, no some key players. Mac Wilson's already ruled out of this game at the linebacking position. But we know the Niners are undermanned as well. What's the path to victory here for the Cardinals? What's the path to not suffering another non-competitive game like they did last weekend?
Well, I think, honestly, all the questions you're asking, Johnny and Bo, right now are what is going to be on display Sunday. Like, is the 49ers, are they a better coach team with what they have than the Arizona Cardinals are? That's how I'm looking at this game. Like, I know how I do stuff with San Francisco. I know how undermanned they are and who they have lost. But I also have seen Mac Jones play really well with whoever he's thrown it to. Jake Tongas. He'll throw a touchdown pass. It doesn't matter what the name is. But they do have McCaffrey. They do have Kittle. They have Juice. They have guys that know how to win games. And they have a coach that knows how to win games. And a coordinator that they believe in. They're starting a kid, Taylor Bethune. He was a 7th-round pick, but he leads them in tackles. He plays like Fred a little bit. He's not Fred Warner, but he plays like him. So this is, to me, you want to be here for the long term, go out coach the 49ers. Go win this game because it's a winnable game and you need to win really bad. So, let's see the coaching, the scheming, the decision-making. Let's see it from the coaching staff this weekend against San Francisco.
Baldy, where are you at this weekend?
I am headed to Tampa, Buffalo this weekend. So we'll see two teams that are licking their wounds after disappointing losses last week. We'll see which team really rebounds to get and stay in the playoff picture.
Let's sneak this in there. Clint Kubiak, is he this year's kind of Ben Johnson? Is he going to be the hot coordinator come this offseason?
Well, when that offense is humming, it's a symphony. And his dad did it. They won a championship in Baltimore with this. That offense is very, very well run. And they don't beat themselves. It's very well coached. They got good players. I don't think anybody thought Jackson Smith and Jigba could be a dominant number one receiver when he came out of Ohio State. He was a slot receiver. This is his role. He is easily top 5 receiver in this league right now. Nobody can really cover him. And so, is that a function of Clint Kubiak? Yeah, a little bit. Like, he's identified. He's matching them up. You run a post dig against, Baker in the corner out there last week, and he goes 63 yards for a touchdown. It's dropped in the bucket perfectly. Like, that's good design, good execution against Arizona's best. So he could easily be Ben Johnson. They're good at what they do.
Baldy, we got 2 months left. We'll be breaking it down with you every week, whether it's the final months of Kyler Murray, Drew Petzing, or Jonathan Gannon. We appreciate you, my guy.
Yep. My pleasure, guys. Hang in there, man. Hopefully they can find a way to win this weekend. We have something good to talk about next week.